Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking tube lights. How do we mount these guys? What do we use? I've got a bunch of grip equipment here, little odds and ends, clamps, everything. Let's see how we mount these guys. So when you get a tube light, usually they come in about a 2 foot or 4 foot length. Today we're going to be running the Amaran lights. They have a lot of good mounting points and a couple cool features that other brands don't have or may be catching up with. So normally I'm mounting off a C-stand. You could mount off a regular stand, whatever you want to do. I'm going to show different options, but let's start with what I originally have been using. So I have originally been using this sort of setup, and it's just booming it over depending on the type of boom you have. This is just the gobo arm, and I've been attaching my light in such a manner where I click it in with this contraption and it goes in like this, and I clamp it down. So this is a Nanlite attachment, and it's for a single tube. So it would go in, you have a screw to put tension on it, so I'm unscrewing it now, and it goes into place once I get it there, and it slides on, you put tension on it, and it works great. It's running parallel with the arm right now. Problem is, maybe I need it to slightly twist. Well, the problem is the whole arm has to move that way, and that may not work because if you're fully extended, you may not be able to get the rotation you want. I may want to twist it right at its point where it's at right here. It's not easy to do that with this setup. It's not possible. Also, I can mount it like this, or I could take it off and mount it to a stand like this, and it'll mount just fine. And I can move this to any point I want, and it holds it in well. I could also reverse the holes, so there's a set of holes here as well, and I could reverse this out and make it go this way. So it could end up making direction this way, or go 90 degrees the other way, or mount in such a manner. So there's limitations to this. So there's other versions similar to this out on the market that look similar to this. Now this is actually homemade too. I had this monitor mount. I didn't trust it as a monitor mount. So this is a Cupo monitor mount. And I'm going to actually show you guys each of these mounts. And it's using these added white clamps, which are common for fluorescent bulbs. If we want to articulate, we can put this guy in here. We could clamp it down. And now I can attach this setup and even two tubes, because I made it where you can have two tubes, and I could put it any which way I want. So if I want to turn it this way, want to turn it this way, straight down, around, I can articulate it, and then I can lock it in to place and it stays. If I wanted a little bit at this angle, it stays. A lot of flexibility. I could also attach it on the end like this, get a little bit more reach, and I have some flexibility. So this is just a VESA mount, and then I attached these little guys here to it so I can mount two tubes at once if I need a little more output. So that's a really cool setup, kind of a DIY. They do have these types in other brands that are already built out like this, but I already have the components, so why not make it myself? So that's really great setup. So another thing that can be done, that's commonly done, is you'll have to have your gobo, and what I do is I'll turn it around so that can be used. Remember guys, you always want the weight on the right hand side of what you're doing. So I'm gonna make this go up here, right hand side, so when you're looking at the actual knuckle itself, the weight is on the right. So the other options that people commonly use when they're on a set and they're kind of in a hurry and they have a grip van or other things, this is called a Cardellini or a Mathellini clamp. If I wanted to mount right here, mount a light right here, I get it, I attach it, and now I have a baby pin spigot and I could attach whatever I want. But we could kind of use it in reverse and actually use it to hold a tube. So we'll go like this, and I can mount the tube from the front, add the tube in there, go here, and there we go. And this has flexibility to adjust. So we have it here. We could adjust this head and go pretty much any direction we want. And then we have the ability to lock this end in. And if we want it to point down, we can make it point down. Problem you get sometimes is when it's done like this, it can torque down and start to twist on itself. So you run into that. And another thing is if you have someone inexperienced and they crank down on this, they're gonna crush your light. So be very careful. These lights aren't indestructible, so you can't just put as much weight on them as you want, clamping them down without any issue. So that's commonly used on set for doing tubes real quickly. Just clamp it on and you go. So another thing that had me thinking was, oh my gosh, all I have is my mic boom. I forgot everything else. I was like, man, you know what? I bet you we could mount a tube in there. So I'm going to use the boom. Let's see if it works. Get the tube in like that. Got the weight there. And if you have it balanced right, in a pinch, you've got a tube light holder. So this is just a regular clamp. So I have more weight over here, so it's not going to fall. But as a safety, I could always come in with a zip tie like this and zip tie it into place to make it secure. So that's really cool. So now I just turned a boom mic holder. See how it's falling down that way? Just make sure that most of the weight's on the side that's going to hold it. Now you have something to put overhead in a pinch. You forgot something, and it actually has rubber, so it doesn't put much damage on your tube light. So that's just a regular, like Walmart or your big box stores. They are used for fishing pole rods. Now let's say you really messed up and you're like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot everything to mount. What do? Let's give this a try. These are clamps. Now these are soft or plastic. I try not to use the metal ones when doing stuff like this because I don't want to damage things, but let's see if we can go in a pinch and mount this light from above using these clamps. Now this is very sketchy. Don't recommend always doing this, but if you're in a pinch, you can. What I would do for sure is apply a safety chain to this to make it more secure. But if there's no talent nearby, it's out of the way, and you want to do something crazy, this isn't the worst setup you can do. It's not the most stable. You could always come in with some gaff tape and even just gaff tape it on, and then have these clamps for a little bit of extra strength. So that's always an option as well. So I'm just throwing out scenarios when you're running on a set and you're in a panic and you need to make things work. That's where your just years of experience kind of kick in. You look at what you have and you start MacGyvering it. You know, what can I do? What can I do? So then another situation which happens, which is kind of a cool look, is we're going to pop this off. We're going to look at the stand over here. And these are super clamps, which are amazing. They are made by, they're also called Mayfair clamps, but different companies make them. You can find them all over. I'll have links below. These have a little spot here where you can add like a baby pin. So if you're going to mount this to something, you could add a light, whatever you need to, but also a lot of times you could click these straight onto a stand. Tighten it down. It's nice and sturdy. And then you can always open this guy up. And I am going to go off the battery side on this. And I'm going to clamp down on it. And there you go. Now you have, well, let's point the light where it actually does something. This way. Yeah, we're going to point it down. Now you have it mounted with just a clamp. And those are very inexpensive. They run about $30 to $40 depending on the brand you get. So that's a real nice solution. You could always mount it in the center and balance it. And get it all balanced out. Right about there. Seems balanced. Good. Obviously, don't do it on the cable like I just did, but yeah, you could balance it out. So that's a solution. If you're in a pinch and you have these super clamps, you could do that. I've seen people do booms off of these for audio. So that's a great little solution. So now let's go into another little world. I was thinking, let me show you a close-up of this clamp. This one is made by Matthews, and then you could see where it receives that point there and can connect. We have baby plates. So this, a lot of times you'll mount to a wall and you could connect a light to it. And what it has is it has a bunch of holes in it. And these holes are able to be attached to like a wall with screws, whatever you want. So you could actually do it flat on like an apple box, a pancake, and then you could have a really low light, whatever you need to do. But then I was thinking, you know what? I can get one of these really cheap, get these little clamps really cheap, and all of a sudden, I'm creating exactly the same setup as this. So that's really nice. And now, if I were to mount this, and I'd go with this setup right here, pretty much gives me infinite possibilities of mounting, because now I can just attach this at any point here and my light can go anywhere. I can make it go down, I can make it go up, I could turn it. So it gives me endless possibilities, and these two things combined price wise are very inexpensive compared to some of the other options. Like this guy right here, I think I paid around $60 for it, and this with a few of these, way cheaper, and I could move it around. So that's an option to add these little guys to it. With those things in mind, there's a few other things. With these Amaran tubes, you have the ability to screw in with 3/8 16 pins. So these are common pins. This is something you may use if you're doing, let's say, a top down, or you just have to attach to something, and this will screw right in. But the problem with this is once you go in, there's nothing holding it in place, and then it just wants to unscrew itself. It'll just knock itself loose. So it's not the best solution unless you put a nut to kind of lock it off. So Amaran has this guy, and this is really cool. It just screws right in and goes straight into the, let's actually mount it over here in the middle, or where the balance point is, where the center of gravity is. Go right here, and this gives you the ability to attach to the gobo, and then you can have it go wherever you want. And it's nice and secure, and it won't twist. So it's designed not to twist when it's locked into place. So that's a really nice setup. And they're a little pricier. They're 30 bucks, but that's not a huge chunk. And then it has anti-twist pins, already locating pins. Let's say we get that old clamp, wherever I put it, there's so much stuff here, and we put a pin into it. Now that pin can connect here. So it's just a pin going into the slot where before we went into the stand like this. Now we put this in here, lock it in, and we have the ability to go to our head and mount however we want. So let's do a weird angle, because that's what we want. We want it to be weird. And then click into place, lock it in, and we're good to go. So that gives us some flexibility. So it's not always this is the exact way you need to do it, this is the exact solution, whatever. I bet y'all have tons of ideas out there and different, things that you can think of. I just have a ton of grip gear and a ton of items, and I start thinking, okay, well, what if I attach this? Okay, and then what if I attach something else? Or, you know what? I'm going to get this regular bracket, and this is an all-metal one for light stands. They come with these little things here. So I'm going to get it. I'm going to attach it to here. And then I'm going to turn this guy around. Here. And then I'm going to attach this here. Nice and snug. And then I can attach this to that. And now I have another option to attach lights, because I may have had a bunch of photography stuff and I have a bunch of these light brackets. And there we go. And you know what? I may want to angle it up. I may want to twist it around. Go here, go there. And that's what I want to do. So you have a lot of options. But you may not be mounting overhead as much. And a lot of these options are great if you're just mounting straight to a stand. So if we're mounting straight to a stand and we eliminate this arm and we have just a stand here, these are really cool items. I use these for sliders, also for top down. That's a 3/8 connection, and then you tighten it up with that nut, and then you have the ability to go through that hole or through that hole. So these are great if you're using, let's say, a video head or a ball head. You go connect here, and then you can connect to a top-down setup. But this can be used in this scenario as well. So I'm going to screw it into here, and then I would fine-tune adjust that nut to lock it in place so it doesn't come loose. And now I have the ability to do a few different setups. I could go like this and mount the light this way, which not often you're going to be pointing up, but let's say you are. Or I could go this way and mount it this way and it stays, or the other way around, however I want to do it. Lock off that nut, connect it, it's ready to go. So that's a really good little system right there to use. And you have these for your top down, which often happens and people start going a little crazy with their rigging. Now, another cool thing that I did discover, which I wanted to show, is this is just a handle from Small Rig, but it goes the length of the handle, not left to right. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. There are situations, especially on a recent shoot, where I was running around and I had to hold this setup, and holding it down here low is a little awkward. I kind of want to be in the center. So this attaches to the NATO rail. Yeah, that's right. This has a NATO rail attachment on the whole back. So at any point I want, I could just slide this where I want it and it works. So then I could just have a handle like this. And if I quickly want to throw it on the stand, done. That's simple. Okay, it's ready to go. Okay, let's take it. We're going to start doing some shots moving around. Okay, here we go. And that's how it looks connected to it. So it's fully adjustable wherever you want to go. It makes it so easy. The possibilities are so endless. I'm really happy with how Aputure came up with this system. They have the mounting points here. They have mounting points on the end. They have mounting points here at the end. They have mounting points on the front here. There are so many possibilities on their Amaran tubes. It's amazing. Now on to safety. So what's really cool is these lights have a lot of great features and options to mount safety cables to them. So I try to find where the center weight is if I'm going to be attaching a safety cable. So when it does fall, it's more balanced. Because if we do a safety cable on this end, or mounting point, it's going to fall quickly because it's so heavy. So I try to center it up when I can. So if I was mounting this light, I would possibly mount it this way, where I attach the Aputure mount here, or the Amaran, the RE locating pin style. Now I'd mount it here, and then, of course, it's going to be difficult. I'd mount it here, and then my safety cable I would mount to this eyelet. And this eyelet's really cool to have because it comes with the Amaran lights. I'm going to show you what it looks like up close. It gives you that ability to hang it, but also as a safety point. So I would likely run it through the eyelet and then run it over and up top as a bit of safety. If you want, you could loop it around a few times if you want it extra tight to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere. and then you could click it through. And this is just a safety chain, so if it does fall and it releases itself, that's what it's going to do. It's just going to dangle. So now it has a little more weight because of this guy, but it'd fall like that. And the heavier end over here that has a lot of mass isn't really coming down to bop someone. That has a little bit of lighter feel, but still, you want to be safe. You want to make it where if it does fall, it still doesn't hit someone. So you want to be very cautious when doing things overhead or just mounting these in general, just for safety reasons. Now what you could also do is you could add another one here on this end. If I could thread it in correctly. So you could always add one on this end and then run another safety cable here. You have it on both ends. It should balance it out and protect it. So that's a really good solution for being safe. And this is just a safety cable. I'll have links below. There's different sizes for different size lights. But in a recent video, I did show something off, and it was this pool noodle, which I watched a lot of YouTube videos. People have posted up about it. I'm not sure where I learned about it specifically, but what it is it makes the light more diffused. So let's see how easily I could get this actually on there. There we go. That's how you do it. I haven't used this enough to be a master at it. So pool noodle, and then I would attach it like this, because I can't really use the clamp style ones as easily, but I could use the handle. So if I was running around and I wanted to get some shots, I could use the handle if I mount it before putting this on. I could always peel this back a little, tighten it up, and then just put it up right about there. I like that. So now I have a nice soft source. There we go. Ready to go. But I'm going to mount it here. So I have it overhead for a certain shot. And then when I want to go handheld, get a little punch of light for something, I can do it. I'm going to pull this battery off, attach it here. I really do. I mean, at first I didn't think I was going to like these tubes because the battery's removable, but man, it makes it so nice. So that's that set up right there. And then easily switching between the two, pull this off. You know, if we're doing an interview and then we're going for some B-roll, I can just grab it, and now I have a soft source that I could run around with. The weight's down at the bottom, so it balances fine. I could get up and over if needed. I could get low. I have 2 points to hold on to, and my grubby little fingers don't go in front of the light, so it's nice and smooth. So I'll put a link for the pool noodle as well down below for everyone to hunt down. It was really inexpensive. I got it like a 5-pack or something for 25 bucks. And these are just the right size. You just slice them in half with a blade. I just pulled out my blade and just went straight across and opened it up, and it worked out perfectly fine. So thank you so much, guys, for watching the channel, for contributing. I really appreciate y'all. Let me know how you've been mounting your lights. I know everyone has their own way and has their own method. It's because this is something they already had, or they went out and got the best they could because they wanted the flexibility with the articulating arm and everything. But just this pile of stuff here is stuff that I kind of already had, short of buying this specific unit, which it has its drawbacks. That's why I love having the flexibility of other things. And now I am free to light in a more, just flexible way. Just the freedom to do it is great. So yeah, let me know what you use, what tube lights you run, and just little tricks and tips about your tube lights that really work out in the end. Now, get more output, you could double up the lights here, which is great. So I'm going to see, maybe I could figure out a cool little mount to still use these soft pool noodles and have 2 lights and have them be able to be side by side. Maybe that'll be in a future video. I know that if I turn this sideways like this, I think I could get the distance far enough where we could do that, and I think it'd be really cool. This NATO mount, oh my gosh. The rail makes it so amazing for accessories, because now you get your camera rig accessories and use them on your lights, which is like awesome. I hate when brands go with a non-uniform standard and they're like, oh, we're going to make our own screw size, or we're going to make our own plate or mounting system, and then it's, oh, I have to buy everything again, and then they phase that out, and then you're stuck with all this stuff. If you use industry standard stuff, it makes it so much easier to just expand and grow and use things for different applications, because all this stuff down here can be used for other things. And that's what makes it so great. So thank you so much, guys, for watching. Feel free to subscribe. I have a lot more content coming out. I know this is a little different from what I usually do, because usually we're out in the field showing off vlogs behind the scenes of what we're doing. But right now, I'm kind of backed up on stuff because of NDAs, release dates, and things like that. So I have a lot of content piled up, but I haven't had a chance to release it. So this month, hopefully we can release a lot of cool different things, big lighting setups, behind the scenes of One Man Band. I do have a cool fitness shoot coming up, which we'll be able to showcase, and it's a really awesome concept that we do in other industries. So it should be a lot of fun. Thank you for sticking around, and I'll see you on the next one.